RHOA is good. Okay, it's a good show, and we are 2 weeks removed from Kenya. And guess what? Still a good show. So, everybody
It's
that said
still
you can't do it without Kenya.
still a good show, and who knew you could just throw a bunch of newbies together and you're gonna hit on a couple of them, apparently.
I know, right? There's one, not great.
One
Uh,
qualm.
yeah, one qualm that we'll get into, but everybody else, including returning members, it's just good. It's like
Mhm.
I judge shows, especially new shows, on just easy watchability. Like, am I scrolling or not? I don't scroll at all during this.
I have more questions during this show than anything else, and they're always good questions. They're just fun questions.
Bros and shows. I gotta have me my bros and shows. Bros and shows. Bros and shows. I gotta have me my bros and shows.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bros and Shows. I'm your co-host, Steele Russell, joined as always by the inevitable Fan Goots. What's up, dude?
I was expecting that one. Not a lot. You know what I think is the worst thing, and this is worse than sunburn, is windburn. Windburn
Oh, yeah.
absolutely sucks balls. I had a golf outing today, a very wide open golf course, and I was just getting crushed by wind all day. My face hurts, my lips hurt. Just, not great for podcasting. I'll tell you what, bad lips, bad podcasting.
Yeah, it's well, hopefully you can power through here, pal, and this will be your Jordan flu game. So
Yeah, thanks.
sorry, Drew's cousin's flu game.
Yeah, there you go. Wow,
Oh my
good
God.
tie-in.
Yeah, I try. I do it.
Remarkable.
I do it for fans, really. No, but before we get into it, we talked about it a little bit beforehand. And anybody that's not watching The Last of Us on Max, I don't know what you're doing with your life. It is one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. It is remarkable. And let me just say, I watched episode 2, season 2 today. You know how it goes because you played the game. I haven't.
Uh-huh.
I was rocked to my very core. I was shooketh.
Like you just said, I don't know what you're doing with your life if you're not watching it. What are you doing calling it Max, dude?
HBO.
You call
I don't
you
know.
call Twitter X now too?
I get so confused when I try to tell people about Twitter. I'm like, Twitter X, Twitter. That. Then I just
Everybody
usually do
knows
this.
what we're talking
I
about.
also inadvertently, that I'm not joking. If you're not watching YouTube, you don't see me. I literally do this half the time. I don't know why. Just to clarify, X, like I'm an X-Men or something. I'm like, Twitter X. That's what I do. I just figured it out. I go, Twitter. I mean, X.
It's more
Don't know why I
like
do that.
Deadpool's like X-Force. That's what they do the X for.
Oh yeah, X-Force. That's what I'm
Yeah.
part of. I would probably be more in line with X-Force than X-Men anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a different podcast for a different day because we need to talk Atlanta. As we said, it's just good. It's easy to watch. The newbies are awesome. I think I read a tweet or an X today, and
I think that in lies the problem. What the fuck do we call the individual things, the individual messages? Because they used to be tweets because it was on Twitter. They don't have a name anymore.
an X file.
It works.
God
I
damn
hate it,
does.
but it works.
It does. Unfortunately, it does.
Don't let certain somebody hear that one because he's going to think it was his idea.
Gonna get sued by the dumbass that quote unquote founded Tesla. Don't get me started on that one. We don't need to go down that path. Let's just talk about Atlanta because this is a good show. As I was saying, I saw an X or a tweet or an X file, if you will, and it said why this season's good is because there's not one clear-cut leader of the group. It kind of rotates each episode, and I think that you are seeing Shamia somewhat emerge as kind of the masthead of this show. Like everyone
I would agree.
somewhat gravitates towards Shamia, but somebody's taking on the role each episode to drive the main storyline or drive the plot. And they are captivating enough in these episodes that makes it almost like an anthology show. It's really interesting to watch and it works.
It definitely works. And I'm still inclined to give the nod to Shamia as far as the quote unquote leader. And I think, and look, I might be completely off base on this, but I think the reason why it works and the reason why each episode you can say somebody's kind of taking the reins and kind of pushing the narrative is because, and this might be too much credit, But it looks like Shami is almost kind of deferring, like, hey, I'll give you the reins. Like, hey, I'm going to let you
maybe
work here. I'm going to let you take this. It's, it's Portia's birthday. So, of course, she's going to take the reins. She's going to lead it. We've got other people stepping up because it seems like almost like there's vacancies in that top spot every episode or every week, every time that they're filming. They're like, oh, yeah, there isn't really somebody that we just all have to listen to at one time. There isn't just somebody who's saying, hey, we're going to go do this. We can kind of do our own thing and just kind of float around. And they're playing the numbers game with these newbies. Now, we know that they did a full recast. We do know that we know a lot of these women. Either they used to be friends of, they used to be somewhat adjacent to Bravo, whatever it may have been. But for some reason, you just kind of throw a bunch of newbies out there. A couple of them are going to stick, and Kelly and Angela are killing it. Kelly has found a great spot where I never really thought that Kelly could rise to the top like a Shamia, trying to be a driving force. Angela can be a different driving force, and that's what the show needs. That's what all housewives need. And she's able to do that in a firm position, stand on her own two motherfucking feet, as she says later in the episode, and just kind of take it and just kind of push things. And I love it because she's just unapologetic, and she is who she is, and she seems to be that way. And I genuinely believe her.
She's the counter, which is important because you need the protagonist, if you will. Not that Angela's an antagonist.
Yeah.
She's not afraid to say nope and do her own thing and present it to the group. And I think we see that embodied in her relationship with Charles, how she carries herself with that. Like, she doesn't give a shit in a very, very good way. Like, she's not easily rattled. And you need somebody like that on these shows, especially a newer cast that we have here, because she's going to keep storylines moving. She's going to bring new things to the table. She's going to invite Drew on the trip, which I'm glad she did. Is Drew annoying? Absolutely. Should she be on the trip?
Mm-hmm.
No. From a real standpoint, from a show standpoint, you can't have one cast member not on the trip. That's dumb. So I'm glad that she went ahead.
It is one of those weird, like 24-hour trips. So I wouldn't have been upset if she wasn't there, just because it's like boom, boom, we're done, in and out.
I thought it was a 2-day.
But
I guess I didn't know that.
It's a weird one. It's like 36 hours, I think, but they're only staying there for one night. And I had that thought too when they were going through all the rooms. I'm like, ugh, I'd get a fucking hotel if I'm going to sleep in that room. But they're only there for one night. So that's why I was like, Drew can stay or go or do whatever. It seems like it's fine. So I agree with you, though. We say that on every show. Anytime that there's a cast trip of some kind and everybody's going, bring everybody. You can't just leave people out. It's annoying because then we just talk about that person and their absence and why they're not there the entire time. Do it face to face. Just have that person there and have it out. I'm sorry it's your birthday, Porsha, but that's
whatever. A great way to put it. Like, the conversation is going to center around her anyway because she's not there, obviously.
Yeah.
So make her come and like actually answer for her shit. I agree with you. That's a good way to put it. But let's jump in, and we start out with Brit and Mike, and she's getting a new car. A new Lambo, because she gets a new car every 2 years. First it's a Rolls Royce, then it's a Lambo. Yeah, I don't
blame
know.
her. I don't think she's getting a new car right now. I think this is just, this could be fun. Let's go look at some really expensive cars and act like we're going to buy them. I'm losing my license, my insurance license. But we'll get a new car.
Yeah, I'm under investigation, but I'm going to go buy a Lamborghini.
That'll make me feel better. Yeah.
That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But you know what else doesn't make sense? Why would we have 3 juxtaposed scenes? 2 is a lot for me to take notes on. 3?
That's not what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say, it doesn't make sense picking a car based on whether or not you can bang in it. The bangability
that makes
total
sense. Everybody knows you buy a car for boinkability. It's part of the rating system. 5 stars, safety crash course rating, and 6 stars in boinkability. Look at this back seat.
Does Michelin do a rating for that one too? Tires, restaurants, and bangability in cars.
That's what they do. Yeah, I still think it's hilarious.
Make more sense than them doing the restaurants.
Isn't that wild?
Car centric.
You know how many people have asked me because I'm in like food where is it the same Michelin? I'm like, it is actually.
It is,
which is
weirdly enough
tires. Well, they started. Do you want the background on Michelin stars?
I was gonna say usually there's follow-up questions to that, like why? And I choose to not know the answer, but if you know the answer, go ahead.
I do. So Michelin, back in, I forget when they started it, let's say mid 1900s, they made travel guides to the United States. So when you used to buy a map, you could also buy a Michelin travel guide to go along with your map that would highlight different things in different areas. So they would find restaurants, and they put a star next to it to say, like, this is a Michelin starred restaurant. That evolved into an award where they would give the restaurant a star for exceptionality, and then it was 2 stars, or the highest rating 3 stars. And if you want more information on that, watch Chef's Table on Netflix. No sponsorship here. Just it's a fucking phenomenal. I just watched it actually with Alice Waters, the screener. It was incredible. She's the founder of Farm to Table. What now?
I can't get over you saying mid 1900s.
That sucked.
Oh,
I as soon as I said, I was like, woof, that's a tough thing to say. But I was gonna say 1950s, and someone's gonna be like, no, it was 1964. It's like, all right, dude. So I just went with mid 1900s, the mid 20th century.
That would be incredible if it was still super wrong.
It was actually back in
1800s
by Thomas Michelin. No. Let's get back to the show now that you guys know all about Michelin stars. But during this scene, we get a scene with Angela and Drew, and which we should have put 2 and 2 together. Of course, they have connections with the Jordan family, being Charles Oakley. So they're drinking tequila. And I love that Angela doesn't skirt around it. She just flat out says, like, you're not related to Michael Jordan. I just talked to Marcus and he said you're not cousins. And she's like, what? Really? Because, like, all right, well, I guess I'm manifesting it. It's like, what are you talking about, you lunatic?
Manifesting it is insane. Like, well, I am getting divorced. Maybe I could marry somebody and become his cousin.
Like, what?
You could, actually, you know what? He's got a certain son who is very thirsty for Bravo. You could probably just become his daughter-in-law.
Marcus. I just said that's who Angela talked to, was Marcus.
No, I know. I'm saying that Drew could marry Marcus and become Michael's daughter-in-law.
Wait a minute.
That's manifesting it.
That's depending on how thirsty that man is. That's what I'm saying. I would not be even remotely surprised if we see a Marcus Jordan sighting with Drew. That actually weirdly makes sense. This is almost a foreshadowing moment. Ooh, interesting. A little crossover.
As soon as she's done with Dennis.
Right, of course, yeah.
And his fellatio.
And yeah, that was the... We'll get there. During this whole thing, you get Kelly, Cynthia, Porsha, Shamia, and I believe Kamaya, who is Kelly's sister. And the dog, I'm glad she explained it, because when Cha-Cha strolls up, I was concerned about the dog being that many different colors. Weirdly enough, her explanation was enough for me. I'm like, okay. She's
I
like,
get it. I called it out a couple of weeks ago. I did not care for the dog's colors, but after that explanation, sure, fine.
You know what? Yeah, that's valid. No one's going to steal that dog because too easily identifiable. But they start talking about the lemon brunch, which was the quote unquote the peace brunch, that whole thing. And this is where it got confusing for me, because now we split into, you think you're going to talk about the lemon brunch with Kelly and them, but no, Drew and Angela are talking about it. And I guess Brit texted Drew and said that we got off on the wrong foot. So she wants to try to smooth things over with her. And meanwhile, Brit's talking to Mike and she's venting about Angela, which is much more interesting than Drew and Angela at this moment, because Brit, this is almost copy and paste of what happened with Kenya. I was like, oh no, you are in the back end of what had happened. Right. And we talked about the way she was playing this victim role was not great, because she should have just been like sad victim instead of, getting a little flustered with Angela. Angela wasn't coming at you. Angela was trying to understand how on earth your license was getting investigated, or as you said, revoked because of rumors. Now, I do have an interesting tidbit for you. I don't know if you've been hearing the rumor mill surrounding this whole thing.
I'll take a tidbit.
So there are some rumors out there, allegedly. Okay. I don't know if these are true or not. I heard it through the grapevine. Allegedly, it is under investigation, but more so for reasons that you had said early on regarding MLM and things of that nature, not because of what's going on with Kenya and the photos. The validity of that, I do not know, but people are chit-chatting about that.
It's always so tough when it comes to the Housewives world, because so many people already, and we're 7 episodes in, so many people already have it out for Brit. They don't like her. They're rubbing, or she's rubbing them the wrong way. They don't really care for her on screen. They don't like her tactics. They don't like her personality. It could be all made up. I wouldn't be surprised. But wouldn't that be, and look, it's a good move for her to be like, well, I do have all this going on, but I can just blame the Kenya of it all and just say it's her fault that I'm being investigated. It's not my fault. I didn't do anything. That would make a lot more sense. And also it would go in line with the personality of somebody going around looking for Lamborghinis after all of this.
Just
Would not be
saying,
surprised.
if
Yeah.
you're under investigation, don't go buying new exotic cars.
But this is what happens now with Brit and the rumor mill, because obviously she goes right into the rumor mill about Angela. Why? We can't do this again. We've seen this before. We saw it on Potomac. It basically ruined the show for 3 years. Are we really going to start doing this? I know you've been through it. Angela didn't do this to you. You want to fire off rumors about Kenya after what she did? Fine. Go ahead, because it's still not going to match the energy that she put out there for you. And she got kicked off the show, which you may or may not know at this point while you're filming. It could be kind of like under investigation, if you will. But she is off the show. Go after her. Do whatever the hell you want. She did that to you. Go back and forth. All Angela was doing, and yes, we did talk about this last week. You shouldn't really bring up Kenya right away. You should be like, Brit, you good? That's
That
kind of
was the
fucked up.
mistake of the group. The group shouldn't
Yeah.
have talked about Kenya
And
right
it
out of the
was
gate.
specifically Angela and Drew that seemed to be firmly Team Kenya. But obviously, it's going to get escalated with the energy that Brit brought to the table. Yeah, of course, she's going to be a little rambunctious. She's going to be out there. She's going to be all over the place. Fine. But she seemed to have it right out for Angela, right out for Drew. And now she's texting Drew saying, hey, I feel like we got off on the wrong foot. Can we get together? Give Angela that same grace. I think Drew did worse than Angela did. Angela was just asking about your license. Drew was firmly Team Kenya and making fun of you to your face. So why are you going to Drew and saying, hey, can we get together, and not Angela? And
No
now
idea.
you're going to spread a rumor about Angela with Charles potentially having a baby while they've been together with another woman? No, we're not doing that. We don't want to play that game again because it'll ruin the show.
Agreed, but here's the saving grace. There's no way that Angela is not used to this shit, rumors wise, with dating a famous NBA player. There's just no way. And I'm not accusing Charles of anything. I'm just saying people have got to be up and down in the DMs, like throwing baseless claims out all the time, because Charles Oakley's a big name. So that makes a lot of sense. I think that's going to save us, is that she's going to be like, dude,
was your first thought, is this what Porsha was talking about? Because that was mine.
Yeah, immediately, which makes me a little more hesitant. But like the fact that Brit's going this route immediately, it's like, dude, did you not learn with Kenya? Like, you're going to double down out of the gate. And that goes back to what I said last week, where you can tell, because of her reaction to Angela at the table was so similar to that of when Kenya was talking about the ring. That's how she responds to things. She's reactionary. If she feels pressed, she immediately goes into defensive mode, instead of just like, you could come out of this a fucking rock star if you just don't say anything. Let Kenya take the heat, look sad, cry to Mike, don't do anything else, apologize relentlessly for the Pistols comment, and then just play woe is me. You would come out smelling like roses, but instead you're throwing more gas into the fire, starting with somebody else. And I don't think Angela is going to back down. I don't think she's the one you want to fuck with. I really don't. So I'm excited, but I'm
excited for that, because I do think that in the midst of all of this, like you just said, Brit had the easiest. Now, obviously, it's the hardest, but after you go through that, you do have pretty much the easiest season. Bravo is not going to kick you off the show. They're going to immediately offer you a contract so that you probably don't. And I think it is in their contracts that they can't sue each other, but they're going to immediately bring you back, because they're going to say, look, this shit happened. The rest of your season, that's on us. That's okay. You want to just lay low and do nothing? We'll bring you back and we'll see what you have next year once you get clear of this. That's the easiest thing ever. Why are we doing this now too? This is just going to make everybody forget about what happened. All of the things that you went through, all that grace that the group was supposedly going to give you is out the door because you're going after somebody else. Now, it seems like by the end of this episode, you might have some people that could take your side, but I don't know if Brit's that likable in the group as of right now for you to actually have allies. I feel like you're going to be standing on your own.
We need Kelly to check her.
Yeah.
Like, pull her to the side and go, yo, dude, just settle
Kelly's
down.
Almost there. Kelly's almost there.
You
I think she's getting there. I think she's.
Is it going to be too little too late?
It could be, for sure, because I mean, we know Brit. She's reactionary. She's just going to get things started right away. I think Kelly's getting there. I think she's finding her place in the group, and I think that she's got a strong position. So I think that she can soon, but not right now. So if she goes too fast, Kelly's not going to be able to catch up.
Interesting. Good analysis. But we get to talking about the Nashville trip, and that Drew is not invited on the Nashville trip because Porsha claims she doesn't care about Drew, which Cynthia points out she cares the most about Drew. So glad she pointed that out. But The shade begins because Angela, while sitting with Drew, as we've been jumping from scene to scene to scene, I think I did a decent job of wrangling it,
Yeah, it's
but
not bad.
we jump over to Angela and Drew, and Angela's like, I'm going to invite you to Nashville because Porsha said that she was losing connection with me on the phone. She didn't say no. So
Yeah.
I'm going to bring you to Nashville. You got to come to Nashville. And Drew's like, this is such her energy. She's like, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's a good idea. That's the correct response. But you don't mean that. You don't mean that at all. As soon as Angela said that, you're like, fuck yeah, I'm going to Nashville. But she's like, you play both sides. And this is Drew's thing. And the funniest part is when we get to Drew and Brit later, I'll save it for that. Because
All right.
we're almost
Yeah,
there. Because the next two things are pretty quick. I just have to point out that Angela's son, shade of the year. Your nose job looks like Yoshi. Oof. You can't come back from that. You have to get a new nose. You will never live that down.
Really wanted to rehearse a Yoshi noise, by the way, for
Please
this.
don't do that. Those are the things that get under my skin.
Oh, really?
That kind of like when people do like Pikachu or Yoshi. I love Pokemon. I love Super Mario, but when people mimic the sounds that the animals in video games make,
yeah. But I was just gonna do because he says his name for some reason. I don't even know what gender Yoshi is.
Yoshi, I believe, is a girl because Yoshi lays eggs. But Birdo is the counterpart of Yoshi, and she has a bow.
She has a bow.
Who are we to assume? We don't know. They could, you know what?
We don't know. We also don't know much about the reproductive organs of Yoshi.
Or Birdo.
What is Yoshi? A dinosaur?
I believe dinosaur-esque. Yeah. We're really answering the tough questions here.
No, I'm actually prolonging this because I'm trying to do it in my head really quick so I can figure out a voice for him. And I was just going to do it real quick.
I'm really glad I'm
still not there.
Okay, so we're going to move on. We're going to move on. And let's get to Drew and Brit because they go to brunch together. Or I don't even know what meal this is, but they're talking about the quote-unquote peace brunch at Kelly's thing. And Drew clocks her a little bit. She's like, look, you came in hot. And Brit's obviously annoyed that Drew defended Kenya. This it feels like a losing battle to me, regardless, because the way Drew's explaining it, I'm like, it sounds like you're sympathizing more so with Kenya here to the person that Kenya wronged, which is kind of a weird way to go about this. And I actually appreciated Brit. I don't like Brit, and I think that she's a sinking ship. But I thought
she handled this so much better than I think she handled this conversation so much better than anything else she's done on the show.
I agree.
I don't know how she was able to keep her cool during all of this, but she was. And it was so much better because it was coherent. She answered the questions and she didn't get pissed off, which is the most that we could expect from her.
I agree. And the funniest shit ever is the fact that Drew Sidora, a.k.a. Drew Jordan, that's the other thing. Is her last name actually Jordan? Or did she make that up too?
Is her maiden name Jordan?
I don't know, but that's the funniest part because here we are questioning whether or not that's true. And she has the nerve to say in a confessional, I just want the real answers. So do we, Drew. So do we from you. You can't.
Yeah, her last name is Jordan, by the way.
Okay. But we have questions that you haven't answered. You lie every show about things that don't matter, which makes me think that everything you say is a lie. And you are going to hold Brit to the fire and get her to answer the quote unquote real questions.
Oh, man, I didn't know that she was in That's So Raven.
Oh, I did. She said it on the show at one point.
Oh, I knew she was in Step Up, but not That's So Raven. Yeah, Drew Sidora Jordan. So that is her last name.
No relation to Michael.
No relation.
It's so weird. Like, what a weird thing to... Why? Something especially so easily provable.
I know.
Like,
but I like that. Her reasoning is just like, I like to joke. Okay.
Yeah, what? What are you talking about? That's not a good reason
Me too.
at all.
Not about
we all do, but that's a weird thing to do. I don't know, dude. But
she really related to Shooter McGavin.
Is that what she said? I like to joke about. Oh no, that's not even what she said it about. Yeah, you are related to Shooter McGavin. That's your uncle. Everybody knows that. But the questions she starts to ask her are insane, and I don't know why. Again, she is the one that's going to ask these. Did you sell it?
Mm-hmm.
What? The cat. What? You're asking her if she's a hooker? What?
I love this line of questioning, actually. This made me laugh.
I did too. Like, don't get me confused for not appreciating the entertainment value. It's just more so like, did you just ask her if she sold her body for sex? Just so like, as she's taking a sip of her lemon drop martini. But that's a weird thing.
that's where the angle of the conversation goes, where clearly Drew is still shading towards Team Kenya and
Oh yeah,
still asking those questions. Like, well, it's almost as if
this is shade
Brit,
that she's throwing.
if Brit's response was, "Look, I did like, yes, I was an escort in my in my early years, in my 20s, and my mid 20s, whatever." If she said that, Drew would have said, "Well, Kenya's validated because she shared that with
Probably.
everybody," and that's fucked up. So you don't get to do that. But again, this is one of those weird situations where I do have to applaud Brit because she wasn't reactionary. She's like, "What? Like, no, I didn't."
Nope,
And then she
didn't
gave an
do
actual
that.
answer. She answered all of it. So you got to applaud that.
Yeah, she got hung up on one of the questions.
Yeah.
Stuttered a little bit, but that's
She
neither
had a
here
little
nor
something
there.
in her throat. That's all right.
Yeah, and they get to the webcam thing. She's like, "Yeah, I did that for a week. We don't know the time frame of that." But the biggest thing that she said that I agree with is, people try to shame me for that. I'm not ashamed. It's like you shouldn't be. I don't think that.
Yeah.
I think it's stupid when people do that. Like it is, whether you like it or not, a legal way to make money. So
Yeah.
shut up. Like who gives
People
a
are
fuck?
making millions of dollars on OnlyFans right now. Why?
Yeah,
Like, it's
exactly.
2025. Who the fuck cares? We have a
So
housewife that's flaunting the fact that she's making a ton of money on OnlyFans. Like, why?
people that are like genuinely up in arms about it are just jealous that people are making money that way. I
Correct.
firmly
That is
believe
very
that.
true.
And it's always incel dudes that are like, ew, gross. It's like, how many of them are you subscribed to, sir? Let me see your
Yeah.
phone, dumbass.
Mhm.
But anyway, we move on and we get to Ralph and Drew and their court date. And you get this this was almost like an episode of Divorce Court because you get Ralph walking out of the basement with, I can only imagine he invited was that his brother, did it say?
Cousin.
Cousin to
Mhm.
look like his bodyguard, like exiting the basement door
Yeah.
because you can't leave through the front door of your own house. And you get the three things that we're asking for here. Number one, Drew wants Ralph out of the house. Number two, child support. Fair. What's his income? We don't know. They don't even know. I thought that we just didn't know. Like nobody knows
Nobody
what
knows.
this man does or how much money that he makes, other than the fact that he has a collection of lanyards from tech events that he goes to and pretends to be important. That's all we know about him so far.
You think
The
he has
last
them
thing,
do you think he has a showcase down in the basement of all of his
oh,
lanyards?
definitely. Yeah. Oh, this is a
Shows
great
people.
conference. This is a great conference out in Kentucky. Oh, this one was Berkeley. This was a good time too.
God, what do you think he does on the weekends that Drew's out of the house? Like, he just sleeps in every bed, just
He
like
probably
sprawls
does.
out.
It's probably like an old school movie where he goes into the bathroom and like brushes the toilet with her toothbrush and like
Yeah. Oh,
plays
yeah, he
like little
definitely does.
pranks so that when she comes back, everything's like out of place. I don't know. He's an idiot. But the third one caught my ear a little bit too,
Mhm.
because she's like, I want to keep the case sealed. And she's talked about this
Yeah.
a lot because I don't want the kids to find out about how bad their dad was. Now, the more this episode goes on, I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of damning things in there for every party involved. That's
Yeah.
my take.
Most likely, it's just she's playing the angle of the kids, which I would agree with for the most part, but we've heard it now, what, 6 or 7 times that we don't want to hear this. It's already documented on TV. We know that you guys, the awkward situation of him living in the basement, like that's going to be enough to mess with a kid's head later in life. So we already have enough going for us. Why are we striving so hard to keep this sealed? How much more is in there? And also, why is Ralph okay with it when he's the guilty party, when he's the one who it's going to completely screw over? He's like, you know what? 100% fair game, level playing field. We got to get this thing open. Drew really doesn't want it open. So what's in there? What's in the
I don't
box?
know. Well, I think we can find out now. It's public record because they did, in fact, after the
Yeah.
case
I
ends.
like to see these things on TV. I don't like looking them up.
I'm not going to dig it up, but maybe
No.
some of our listeners will dig it up and let us know.
Which is, by the way, terrible journalism by us. Like,
Yeah,
just
but like,
god awful. But like, look,
it
guys,
makes it
I'm
too
talking to the
real.
audience. I'm talking to the. Oh, it makes it too real. I'm talking to the audience right now, guys. You got to let us watch the show like you guys watch it. We got to just be
Yeah.
surprised by some things. We can't know everything. Where's the fun in that?
Yeah, guys,
Come
why
on,
are you yelling
guys.
at them?
I wasn't yelling at them. I'm just telling them what's up.
Okay.
Well, heart to
now
heart.
it's a heart to heart. Okay.
Mhm.
All right,
Yeah,
I
I
just
I said a
clarified.
lot of different things there, so nobody really knows the
Just
intent
take
behind that
your
one
pick of
anymore.
what you want there.
Yeah.
The other thing that makes me pause, if you will, is the fact that when they leave the court, the judge unsealed the case.
Mhm.
Ralph did not provide finances, and he gets to stay in the basement. They lost everything. They had 3 things they wanted to do. None of them were accomplished. So that makes me question what's going on in that courtroom. That makes me question the validity of everything Drew's saying, which she already does a good job of herself because she lies about weird things, such as being related to Michael Jordan, which is dumb to lie about. So now I'm going through this whole thing. It's like, all right, look, we can all unequivocally agree that Ralph is a piece of shit. We know that. Okay. We've seen him. We get it.
That's why it's so weird.
I know it's so strange because, like, what are you hiding, Drew? There seems to be a lot more here if you lost all 3 things you were trying to do today.
Yeah.
But the saddest, that's not the saddest part. The saddest part is Ralph dancing away from the court going, I don't have to leave. I don't have to leave. I'm like, you are celebrating living in your ex-wife's basement, you fucking weirdo.
And this is also where I don't really understand it, because when he's talking to his cousin, he says, I paid for that house, or his cousin asked, is that the house that you paid for? So if he's financially invested in that house, wouldn't it make more sense? And I know he's on his 3rd attorney, so maybe they haven't gotten there yet. Wouldn't it make more sense to force sell the house so that you guys can both get equity back and split the profit and then go on your separate ways, then figure out child support and do things down the line? The whole thing smells, and I don't really care. The whole thing stinks, and I don't know where we're going with it. And again, Ralph is an idiot, and I think that's why it's so hard to figure out, because watching that man dance afterwards and being so jovial, and watching his attorney and the way that she was talking, it's like, I know we're getting a Drew edit, of course. She's the housewife. Ralph sucks. We're getting a Drew edit. But why are they so happy? Why are they celebrating? Why do they seem so confident? What are we missing? What are we not getting? And again, we could easily figure that out by looking it up, but I don't want to.
I'm not gonna. I'll probably look it up at some point. I will look it up at some point to figure out.
Just don't tell me.
I won't. I'll leave it a surprise for you. But it's just interesting. It's intriguing, and it's funny because it's another example of Drew or just somebody from the show doing too much and allowing for too much speculation to start. Because now we're questioning it. I wasn't questioning it before. As much as like Drew lies and everything, I was just under the impression, Ralph sucks. He's probably wrong. Now I'm like,
judge is going to see this.
Ralph still sucks, but what's going on here? Unseal those files.
Here's the other thing. Now that the files are unsealed, presumably, is that actually going to shed any light on it? I mean, how many times do we see these divorces go years until we actually get some sort of conclusion? We might not actually have anything to go off of. So you can go ahead and read that document, read those documents. We might not be anywhere more into this than we actually are right now watching the show.
I agree. It's I don't know, dude. I think it's going to be
weird. Something
big's going to come out of it, I think. Where it's going to be like, holy shit. That's my take. But
she is actually related to Michael Jordan.
That's good. Yeah, we're gonna figure that one out.
That's the problem. That's why you
can't.
Whoa, we can't unseal this because it'll ruin Michael Jordan's reputation.
Yeah, we can't afford that. No way. Fuck with all them shoes. Absolutely not. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. But we get to travel day. Angela missed the flight, so she's gonna arrive later that evening. Drew is not coming until the following day, but we get to the house itself. You get Abel, the bartender. I had to do it. I said, where's Kane?
Got to do it.
Who killed
Day after
who?
Easter. You got to do it.
Who killed
Kane
who?
killed Abel.
Kane killed Abel. Okay. Yeah, all right, whatever.
The first murder, apparently.
I should brush
Don't
up.
forget, I watched Lucifer recently. There's a whole thing about Kane and Abel. Yeah.
There you go. You are
I am the foremost expert on this.
Thanks to Satan, the TV show. Thanks a lot. But we're at the house.
British, by the way. But anyway, we'll just keep going.
Oh, that was sorry, not the southern version.
Yeah.
But the room situation is wild. Okay, and we're not usually sticklers for rooms. Like usually we're like, all right, there's 2 beds in there, whatever, just shut up and stay there. This is crazy. The attic looks like the Home Alone house where there's just a bunch of beds in there. There's a bunk bed. I think there's like
Kevin, I Shrunk the Kids.
Dude, no, that's not what she said. This is the greatest quote, and someone needs to make this movie. Kevin had shrunk the goddamn kids.
God. She's funny, man. She's really funny.
Like, we need to make oh my God. Please do that. Somebody out there, if you're good with Photoshop or anything, please make a movie poster with Shooter and I in it that says Kevin had shrunk the goddamn kids and make a movie poster based on Honey, I Shrunk the Kids with Kelly in it as well.
I'm gonna need a lot of Rick Moranis, and then you can put Kevin McAllister's face on Rick Moranis's body, and I think we're good.
Boom. All right. So if
Yeah.
somebody out there is good at, please make this happen. That would make me so happy. But we get to lunch and Portia's discussing her divorce. It's her first birthday in like 3 or 4 years without Simon. So she just wanted to have her ladies around, you know, everyone come in, have a good time, vibe, all that good stuff. And as they're talking, they start talking about Angela. And Angela's ears must have been burning because the second that she walks in through the door, they're talking about her. And the funniest part is she's in a confessional. She's like, I know what I'm being talked about. I was being talked about before I walked in.
Yeah, she has good intuition.
But everything that they're talking about in regards to her, like Brit brings up the fact that, you know, she texted her and was like, hey, checking in on you, want to see how you are. And then at the brunch, she had a totally different energy. I was like, no, she didn't. She was checking on you. That's how she felt. She wants to make sure you're okay. Maybe she comes off a little bit more brash when she's addressing a different topic. You brought up insurance.
Yeah. She's a bit matter of fact. Yeah.
She knows about insurance. So she's like, wait, whoa, hold up. What are they doing with your license? She wasn't questioning things about you. She was saying that doesn't make sense because I have an insurance license and I wouldn't lose it over something like that. I would lose it over investigating into an MLM scheme and things of that nature, but I wouldn't lose it because some asshole put up a poster of me giving a blowjob fucking 15, 20 years ago. Like, that's not how it goes.
Yeah. And again, every time that this happens, you're just calling more and more attention. And that's why there's rumors floating around online about you, because you react to something like that. And if you get caught in a lie, even though it's kind of more of a stretch of the truth, and you're finding yourself in a new situation where you can kind of just blame that for why you're under investigation, and somebody calls you out on it, of course you're going to react that way. We've seen Brit react to a lot of different things, but the way that she reacted to that was accusatory. And again, Angela didn't do that from a, well, maybe Kenya was right, sort of like what Drew was doing. She was doing it from a, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Why would they do that? Can you talk more about it? And you got defensive, which tells us that you're not really telling the truth about that. We don't really know, but it does put you in a guilty light. And that's unfortunate. So again, she's not taking Kenya's side.
Self-inflicted.
Yeah.
You know, and like that's where it's remarkable to watch after somebody that just went through all of this still come out almost the villain in the situation. She is getting dragged on social media. And it's hard to defend her anymore. It's like last week, yeah, sure. I feel really bad for what happened with the Kenya stuff. I will die on that hill that Kenya went way too far. Even after watching Kenya's confessional that came out, like I am still under the camp of Bravo severely dropped the ball in regards to handling the Brit situation. I don't think that she should have been allowed back to film, at the very least a suspension, but the retaliation was worse. That was worse, you know? And so Bravo fucked up. Yes, Brit fucked up too, but Bravo fucked up in the handling of it. And then the fact that she had the poster boards and Bravo didn't step in again and go, can we like vet those real quick before you put something out here? Like, that's also wacky. There's a lot of things here that were not handled very well, but Brit's handling of the aftermath is just astounding to watch. I'm like, dude, are you trying to bury yourself, or do you feel emboldened because you were wronged after you did a wrong and now you feel tougher? So now you're going after people again. You're trying to like, or maybe your pride took a hit and now you want to prove to people that you're not scared of anybody. So you're trying to bow up a little bit. I'm not sure what her tactic is, but it's really dumb. Like, it's just not a smart way to go about this whole thing.
It's really dumb. And in hindsight, it's really, really dumb because we saw so many people online already talking about how when Kenya leaves, the show's over, season finale, so on and so forth. These people can now do that. The people who support Kenya's small army out there that are just trying to spin it in whatever way, you're making it so much easier for them to go after you and paint you as the villain.
Yeah,
look at her. They don't have Kenya anymore. And in their warped minds, they're looking at you saying, you're the reason why Kenya's not here anymore. Kenya's the reason why Kenya's not there anymore. But it's giving them more validity. It's giving them a leg to stand on when you do stuff like this. And if you're hiding things, I never understand. If you're going to be on a housewife show, you can't have anything hiding in the background. You have to be upfront about everything. You have to talk about that as soon as humanly possible, or you're going to get skewered. And that goes for anything that you're trying to hide from your past. So this is just what happens. Them's the breaks.
It's poor management poor management. But the second that Angela sits down at the table, she's like, so, yeah, Drew's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, what? And you're like, yeah, I would anticipate seeing Drew. Like, she's definitely going to, I'm not sure when, but she's going to be here at some point because I think that it's a good chance to clear the air. As she's giving her reasoning, I'm like, I don't care what your reasoning is.
Yep.
You're right to bring Drew in, whether it is to be nice to Drew and try to smooth it over or just to start some shit or both. Great move. Absolutely great move because what it also does is show some of the OGs and the newbies. It's like, I don't give a shit about what any of you think.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to tell me what to do. You're not going to tell me what to do. I'm my own person. As she says, I wear size 12s and I stand on my own motherfucking feet. Boom. Perfect. Great confessional. Glad she brought it up right out of the gate. Porsha, she's acting like she doesn't care. She takes it in stride, which I was actually happy about. She's like, you know what, whatever. Like, this is my weekend. I'm not going to let this ruin me.
She did a full turn on this one, which I didn't really understand either.
No, I didn't.
But I mean, this is the move. This is the type of move that you expect on a housewife show. This is what you expect from somebody who's been on a show like this before. So coming from Angela, it makes it all the better to see something like that and be like, yeah, Drew's going to come. Because we know, even if it wasn't going to go this way, it did have the feel of a weekend or a couple of days where we were going to just make fun of Drew the whole time. Like, Drew's not here. Porsha's going to get her licks in. She's going to make a lot of jokes. It's going to make people uncomfortable, people who were close to Drew. There's not a lot of them on the cast anymore because she's kind of alienating herself. But the rest of them who still support her are going to be really uncomfortable. Fuck it. Let's bring her along. This is a cast trip. Your birthday happens to fall in the middle of filming. You decided to go on a cast trip that Bravo is going to produce. We're going to bring everybody.
You have to.
This is what the show is about.
Yes, we need everybody together. All right, especially a newer cast. Like, you can't start alienating people.
Especially in Nashville. Come on.
Yeah, come on. But we hear that Kelly and Brit ran into Angela at Neiman's. This is weird. This was a weird attempt at shade. Like, I don't know what was going on. I don't know why this was shady behavior because, like, oh, she was walking around, like, wearing granny glasses and this and that and the other thing. She was hiding in the clothes. And Angela's saying, I wasn't hiding from anybody. I walked right up to you and gave you a hug.
I believe Angela.
I do too, because Brit says, well, I hugged you there. So are we good or was that fake? Angela's reaction and response is why Angela's great. She just kind of laughs off. She's like, I'm always real. Like, I don't hold on to like, come on, dude. And she's like, all right, I believe it. I believe it. I'm like, are they good now? Or is that like a just push it to the side until some shit pops off later kind of deal?
Probably, but it was also very weird. And that's why this situation just got weirder and weirder for me. Again, I'm going to be inclined to believe Angela because she has shown us that she's real. She's stood on business her entire time. So yeah, I'm going to believe her against Brit's word for sure. But also Kelly didn't really elaborate. Kelly was just like, oh yeah, we saw her. I was with Brit. And then we go to a confessional with just Brit and a confessional with just Angela. We didn't ask Kelly about this, or she just confirmed it. And we're just trying to pit the two against each other probably. But yeah, I'm going to believe Angela. She probably walked right over and said hi. And you also said she was hiding in the clothes. She was doing this. She was doing that. She came over and gave you a hug, though. So I don't really get it.
I don't understand.
Brit talks out of both sides of her mouth sometimes. And yeah, I mean, she's going to get caught, obviously, and it's going to get her a lot of trouble. So we'll just see how it works.
She's putting herself in bad spots, dude. And this is what you see. We talk about it all the time in every show, housewives or otherwise. Newcomers that come in too hot, try to make a name for themselves out of the gate. It does not go well ever. It never lands. You have to find your niche. That's what Kelly did so well. And she's reaping the benefits from it now because she kind of was just bopping around. She was friends with her friends. She would try to make friends with some new people, never overstepped, allowed things to happen, and then reacted to them instead of forcing things to happen and forcing reactions. That's what makes a good newcomer. So you're kind of seeing it now. Angela's doing great. Shamia's doing great. Kelly's doing great. You get all of these newcomers doing a really good job. And I know some of them have been on the show prior, but take notes. Stop trying to be that like the it girl on the show. You gotta work to get there. This is a war of attrition. The greats have been around for a while.
Yeah, and based off of the way that Brit has handled these situations, she's not going to be able to handle to be that it girl. If you want to be the it girl, people are going to come after you a lot. Look at Lisa Barlow out in Salt Lake. People go after her every single episode, every single reunion, and it's taking a toll. She doesn't want to do it anymore, but she does love being the HBIC. You want to try to do that. You want to try to fill those shoes. You're going to get attacked. And I don't think you can handle it based off of what we've seen.
She can't. She can't be that person. She needs to be a supporting character. And if she realizes that, she might stay around. If she doesn't, she's going to be one and done.
One and done.
We get a Paris sighting, which is great. Paris is on the show still. We need more Paris, as much Paris as we can get. I think that there's going to be a rift. Kelly and Brit. And I think it's going to center around Paris. That's my bold claim for this season.
Okay.
Yep. I think that Brit's going to overstep with the stylist, and Kelly's going to get pissed and be like, look, that was a favor. He is my stylist. You back the fuck off. I think that's going to be a thing. Which
we've already seen a bit of a stylist feud. Who was that with? That was with Porsha and Drew, I think.
Yeah, because Drew took her hairdresser or whatever, and she was like, yeah, whatever.
Hairdressers, Sharon Dennis.
Look, there's a Drew, get your own shit. All right? Seriously. You just signed a record deal in the saddest celebration I think I've ever seen. Nobody was at that club. You're with your sister and you're FaceTiming Dennis, thanking him for the smallest bottle I have ever seen at bottle service. That was like a fifth.
Which
that
also,
you bought.
If we just knew that he bought you a bottle and you went to the club to go celebrate with your sister, that would be fine. We'd be like, all right, yeah, he produced, fine, whatever. The FaceTime was like,
why are you
going to have more questions about this? Like,
yeah.
This is the duplicity of Drew with me. She has to realize that we're going to think that, right? Like all of these interactions, and we're watching Porsha, and Portia's talking to Dennis, telling him that he can't film with Drew, and Drew keeps trying to bring him back in, and she's trying to do this and that and whatever. You have to realize how that's going to look to us, right? When we're watching all of this.
No,
it looks too much.
Her fatal flaw is her severe lack of foresight. She does not think things through. She does not think about the ramifications. She thinks
I think it
that
could
she's going to get away scot-free.
I think she's doing it intentionally. I think she's doing it intentionally. I think she
Who
wants
would do that intentionally?
Drew.
That's dumb. That's
Listen,
stupid.
I like her or hate her, her storyline this season is very interesting.
Sure.
With Ralph, with Dennis, with all the other shit going on, she's doing it well. And that's why
it's interesting in spite of Drew. She's not doing it well.
I think she's doing it. I honestly do. I think she's setting it up.
I think here's the thing. And I believe this. I like her on the show. I do not like her, but she is a pivotal part of this show. Like her scenes are entertaining, not for the reason she thinks they are. I'm not saying like, oh, I can't stand Drew.
But it works.
It does. And I'll give her credit where credit's due. It does work, but not for the reasons. That's it. All right. It works, but not for the reasons that Drew thinks it works.
Right. Okay.
That's my take.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, I like that one. But we get to the night out. Shamia wins the bull riding thing, 51 seconds. Nice work. She's very competitive. I thought that scene was really funny. And you get Drew out with Allison with the record deal thing. And again, I'm not saying she didn't sign a record deal because as we know, she dropped the album. And again, I would be remiss not to tell you our comments are full of people saying Shooter doesn't know what he's talking about. Drew's album is actually pretty solid. There's a lot of fanfare for Drew.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of it on the radio.
Is that your barometer of a good,
I don't listen
good
to the
song?
radio anyway.
Yeah, what?
I haven't heard any of the songs. That's a good barometer. I listen to music all the time.
You're not going to do it. Yeah,
no,
why? But that's not that. But that's not fair. If you're going to criticize the music, you should like an Ashley Darby. You don't need to go listen to her music to have an opinion. This, I think that you do. There's been enough people saying Drew Sidora's album's good that I think that you sound bad if you're just shitting on it, refusing to listen to it.
It is a heavy burden that I have to carry by being a world-class hater. I am a world-class hater, and good hater refuses to do stuff that he doesn't want to do. And I don't want to do it. And I'm always going to hate.
Time winner of the Player Haters Ball, as everybody knows this.
Hate.
But let's get to dinner and tie a bow on this whole thing. Porsha brings up Drew coming, and now she's not nearly as mellow about it as she was before. She's starting to get irritated at the premise of Drew actually arriving. Angela's holding fast to, look, it's the perfect opportunity to clear the air. She escalates it. I don't think this is another indicator that I don't think Angela gets rattled very easily, because she's like, what kind of fucking glue is in your wig right now? Like, she's trying to poke, but it goes to a confessional with Angela. I agree with this. I agree with this because she's like on FaceTime. Porsha should have told me, like, no, Drew, don't act tough now because you're with your little friends. And I'm like, look, she's got more support because her sister and her sister's friends met her out to go out on this night in Nashville. She did have a different tune earlier, and it could have just been now she's got some drinks in her and she's a little bit looser, and now she's got an opinion about it. But I do always pay attention to and take note when somebody suddenly has a little bit more support and now they get a little bit louder. Now they're a little bit tougher. I'm like, feel a little
we kind of
emboldened.
saw that throughout the day. She didn't feel like she had the support, or maybe she was a little blindsided by the comment that Drew was going to be coming at the lunch when they first got there, which, by the way, looked spectacular. I know that Angela called Charles to let him know, and he didn't really hear what she said, which was
what?
Hilarious.
What?
Huh? What?
By the way, he could hear her perfectly.
He could hear her perfectly.
Yeah, he was holding it over here going, what?
But no, there is something to say, like throughout the day, you could see her getting, and I wouldn't even say she got more and more irritated. I think she knew exactly how she felt about it, but she had more and more support. And she got a little emboldened by the support later at night because she had everybody there at the table. And she even pointed out, what, now we're going to be sitting here talking about Drew. Angela's right. You're going to be talking about her anyway. Why not just bring her down here and let her fend for herself? I'm not. And look, Angela's probably not going to jump to Drew's defense at any given time while Drew's there, but she will while Drew's. It depends on the situation. I think she picks and chooses, and I think she's very smart about it. Agreed. If it's something that she sees kind of going away or going towards Drew for being negative, she's going to stay out. There's no way that she's going to stick her neck out for Drew. I don't think so. But if Drew's not there, yeah, she's going to speak up and try to defend her. So what better way to do it than to just have Drew come down? And the condescending comment of, you got your little friends here, is always funny to me because it is always such a tough way to do it. It's like, yeah, that's why.
Yep. It always hits, always strikes a nerve. The little friends is immediately under somebody's skin. But
yeah,
Dennis comes up at the very end and somebody throws it out there. Oh, yeah, she sucks some dick. Implying, and what we didn't know, because Porsha's like, oh, okay, well, that's fellatio's his thing. And I was like, huh? And then she even has a follow-up. She's like, yeah, anytime that anything sketchy happened, I'd be like, did you hook up? And he's like, no, she just gave me head. No, she just gave me head. No, she just gave me head. I was dying at that part, but I believe without a shadow of doubt after that, Drew definitely did it. Like, I don't even kind of question it. I'm like, okay, I believe it. I don't need any more evidence. I believe that happened. I believe that's what's going on. They're definitely intimate with each other. We've been saying this for a while. That's the confirmation that I needed.
Yeah, no, we thought that pretty much from day one. It's a little weird. All right, let's see what happens here. I kind of think it for a bit. We just get more and more evidence as the day goes on. Every time that we get a new episode and they talk about it more, somebody knows something, or just watching the two of them interact. The fact that he bought her a bottle, FaceTimed her, talked to her the whole time. Like, he was on that FaceTime for a long time. That thing was edited and he was there for a while. So everything is pointing towards that. And that's confirmation. And apparently that's how he keeps his body count balanced. So that was all of anybody out there who wants to keep their body count balanced, fellatio. That's what you do.
Apparently that's the loophole. Who knew? Yep. But let's get to some questions. Great point from Chandler Randler. Concerns that excluding one housewife from a cast trip is becoming a trend. It's been a trend for a very long time now, and we hate it. And I'm glad that we have somebody on this cast that's like, nope, we're going to bring her. Whether producers stepped in and told her to do it or not, I don't really care. We are always in the camp of, I don't care what's going on. Cast trips means everybody goes.
Yeah, 1,000%. From Jessica Rose, what was in Ralph's suitcase? I'm going to go with Play-Doh, a Lunchable.
Yeah. Coloring books.
Coloring books for sure.
And a crossword to feel smart.
Yeah, Monopoly money. Oh, yeah, like a Wall Street Journal. But like last week's Wall Street Journal.
With like,
he already, like, it took him a week to read it, so he knows what's in there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Wall Street Journal doesn't have a crossword.
New York Times has a crossword, but yeah.
Yes, it does. New York Times is a really tough crossword. If you want an easy one, USA Today. That's good for like beginner to intermediate. From Jamie Gibbs, should Ralph turn the basement into an Airbnb just like the Hub House in Nashville? Yeah, honestly, make some money. Why not? You want to stay at Drew Sidora's? Drew Jordan? You want to stay at Michael Jordan's cousin's house?
You want to see a lanyard showcase? He's got a shadow box with all of his lanterns down there. It's really cool.
Mhm. This is a conference in Ohio. He really liked that one. He had the whole team sign it.
From Diana and Jerry, do y'all finally see how Porsha is dragging the issue with Drew? I do. I actually do see it. I do think that Porsha's pulling this along. I think she cares, but I think somewhere along the way she kind of realized like this could just be a really easy storyline where I could just have beef with Drew and they're kind of doing it to each other, which is
I was going to say I think they're both guilty of this one.
Yeah, and they're both using it to their advantage and they're probably both fine with it. But the way that Drew's going about it is to act as if she already had the conversation with Porsha before the season started. She talked to Dennis, apparently, as she said in this episode, and they were cool with it before the season started. Now they're not. So obviously we don't trust Drew when she starts talking, but the way that Portia's handling it is by not addressing it, by avoiding, by acting sick and not going to dinner and doing this and that and not inviting her to Nashville. I do think that, think what you want about Angela's move by inviting Drew. I feel like everybody should believe that it was the right move, but by doing it, it forces the issue. Talk about it, figure it out. We can't be doing this song and dance the entire season because it's going to get annoying. We're not going to care anymore.
No, I'm close to not caring. So I want to just get to the bottom of it. I'm hoping that since Drew's in Nashville, we're just going to hash it out this trip. And then whether they're friends or not moving forward is somewhat irrelevant to me. Yeah. I just want them to get to the bottom of this one way or another and then have it pop up again. Episode 14, Dennis shows up to something and then we get like the blow up. Like that would be a great timeline. Let's just
it's a good
forget about it for 7 episodes and then boom, finish the season off with another banger. The last one here from Madison Nelson. I think this is an important one. Did Kenya deserve to be fired? Unequivocally, yes.
Yeah.
Did Brit deserve more reprimand?
Also,
absolutely. Yes. Could she have been fired? Yes. I would argue that she could have and should have been fired or at the very least suspended. Kenya's response, no matter what way you look at it, retaliatory or not, deserves to be fired in any job landscape on the planet. That is not okay. What she did is fucking gross, and anyone that thinks otherwise, even though it was in response to a Pistols comment, which should have been taken more seriously, no, absolutely not. She needs to be off the show. That it just is what it is. She made her bed. She's got to lie in it. Will she be back? I don't know. But yeah, she doesn't deserve to be on the show after that, period.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's all I got. You got anything else?
Nope. All good here.
Well, that's our show. Bros, gotta go.